Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. I mean, it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, May 26th, 2021. It is another beautiful day here in Chicago. We had thunderstorms in the morning. I actually slept in because I woke up and I could hear just pounding rain and I heard some thunder. I think I heard some thunder. Lots of strong winds anyway. And I thought, I'm not going to run on that today. So I decided to sleep in for like an hour, and that gave me enough time because then I did work on a video for a little bit. And then by then it was like 6:30ish. By then things were pretty cleared up. So I had some nice weather for my run. Everything was still kind of wet, but at least it wasn't raining. And so things were nice and cool too. So overall, a great day for a run. And now it's just beautiful Simpsons cloud skies and just really nice and bright today. How are you guys doing today? Everyone listening in on the podcast version, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys are having a good run and not stuck in rain. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully you've got a nice beverage to relax with today. I've got my afternoon coffee, just brewed a fresh cup, and I'm very excited for it. All right. Ines is here live and says, hi, Kofuzi and everybody. Back to a Zone 2 run after work with Pip today. I need to get to bed earlier and not stay up watching the latest series of Fargo into the night to help with the recovery. I never got into that series. I think that I would like it though. There's a lot of shows that I think that I would really, really love, but I feel like I spend enough. Maybe I spend too much time scrolling on Twitter and on social media and stuff. It's kind of my job though, I guess. It's part of my job. Maybe. I think that's an excuse. That's not really true. I could spend a lot less time on Twitter, I think, and still get what I need to out of it and what I enjoy out of it. But I do find myself scrolling a lot. That, it's kind of a weird trade to be like, I'm giving up some Twitter time so I can spend more time on Netflix. I don't know. I think that might be a good trade though. That might be a trade up. I might have to check that out. Awesome. Philip Bourne says, yo, what's going on? Just finished a 10K post-work run with Laura. We got 2 dog runs in a row. Says, will we find a live stream while trying to cook? Awesome. It's already 8 p.m. my first meal of the day, so wish me luck. Oh boy, that's a weird day. Wow. Only eating at 8 p.m. I couldn't make it. I would I'd be just too grumpy, very much too grumpy. Recycle on Wednesday says, hi everyone. Christian says, Reebok spelled backwards is Kobeer. Forget the shoe company. Let's drink. I like that. I like that a lot. Lucas says, what's going on, my running friends? What's going on, Lucas? Good to see you. And Steve says, evening, Mike and gang. Just spotted your run. Is the Hoka Zinal a trail Mach 4? It looks interesting. Yeah, I ran in the Zinal for the first time today. I've had it for a couple. I got it the same time I got my Clifton 8. So I've been sitting on it for a little while because I was like, I don't know when I need to really train for it. But I'm wishing that I kind of had busted it out a little bit sooner because it's a nice shoe. I really like it. It's got a ProFly. I'll make a video about it for tomorrow. That's what tomorrow's video will be. But it's got a ProFly midsole and a Vibram outsole. So it's I think a trail Mach 4 is a really good way to describe it. I would say it's not quite in the heel. It feels very familiar. I would say in the forefoot, it feels a little bit more. I feel like that Vibram outsole, it makes it feel a little bit more dense in the forefoot. But you're going to be running on this thing in some trails and not necessarily on pavement. So when I had it on, I had it on rocks and I had it on muddy grass today, and it was good. It was surprisingly nimble. I mean, I expected it to be nimble, but I just felt like I was running downhill. I was doing some hill sprints. And the way I thought I would do hill sprints differently today is I thought I would run not only just up the hill, but up and down fast. And then, I kind of do like a figure 8 almost, or it's more like a hourglass kind of shape. So I go up on one side. Well, let's do it this way. I go up like this way, and then I come over, and then I come back around, and then I come over. I don't know if that makes sense. Almost like a weird rectangle is how I run up the hill. And so when I was kind of cutting over that's when I would recover. And so I got a sense of both uphill and downhill in the shoe. And it's good uphill, plenty of grip, but it was really nice downhill. I just felt like it was, I just felt like I was kind of like carving down the hill. Just really great ability to control even at a higher speed. So pretty interesting shoe. It's meant for shorter distance racing said that because the Sierra it's named, I'm presuming, after the Sierra Zinal race, which is a shorter race as far as like mountain ultra trail goes. So, but that race I do think has multiple surfaces, some road, mostly trail, mountain though. But yeah, but it was interesting. I really liked it. It did have a lot of mockness to it. I liked it the most when I was on the rocks, because then where I'm just like the footing's all uneven, that V-rim outsole just super tacky. Like, I mean, I know it's part of it's like the shoe was straight out of the box, but like there was like when I like first put them on and walked out the door, I felt like my feet were like sticking to the tile in the entryway. It was just amazing how like tacky and just grippy everything was. And the rocks were wet because it had been raining all morning. So I was worried that I might, get a little bit too exuberant and slip and really hurt myself, but it ended up being fine. So it's an interesting shoe. I like it a lot. I'm like, I go back and forth. Like if it were a little bit more comfortable, like meant for a longer race, it wouldn't feel as good on like those sharp turns and navigating through rocks. So, some trade-offs, but a lot of fun. All right. JC says, good afternoon, all. What's going on, JC? Good to see you again. And Rodrigo Tsuki says, hey there, people. What's going on, Rodrigo? How are you? All right. Frank says, I wonder what the best way to think about heart rate zones when it comes to higher temperatures is. Well, I mean, the way I think about it is, yeah, I mean, you mentioned in your earlier comment here that like your max heart rate can rise with temperature. I wasn't really aware of that. I always kind of thought the max heart rate was the max heart rate. But I think what I am comfortable with saying is that like, it's easier for your heart rate to spike, or like less effort you could get to the same heart rate with less effort, which is unfortunate, right? From a racing perspective or a training perspective. And I think the way to think of it is that, you have to adjust kind of your expectations. Because I feel like with heart rate, the strain, your body experiences strain from, at least from a cardiovascular perspective. I would anticipate that it experiences strain as strain. And so like, I think that like, if I'm trying to stay low heart rate, I can't say like, well, at room temperature, my low heart rate number max is 144. But if it's humid out and hot, then I can run at 150 and it's still a low heart rate. I'm not sure it works that way. I'm not a cardiologist, so I don't know. Or a coach or someone who studies this stuff, but that's not my understanding of it. I wonder if anyone else has any thoughts on that. All right. All right. Troy M says, hey, I'm a mail carrier and I walk all day. Besides the Hoka shoes, what other shoes do you recommend for concrete, grass, dirt, etc.? Hoka was comfy, but not durable. It only lasted me about 2 to 3 months. I would take a look at, I like the Pegasus Trail a lot. I'm not sure how durable that would be, because that rubber outsole is a little bit on the soft side. So I feel like if you're walking on a lot of pavement, it might. But then again, I ran on a lot of pavement in mine, like a lot of snowy pavement. So I think it'll be all right. I think the other one to take a look at that would be comfy, I think, would be like the Ultras. Like the Ultra Superior, that is like a road trail shoe. The 4.5. I haven't tried the 5. I don't think that one's out yet. But I tried the 4.5. I really like that one a lot. And I felt like I could wear that shoe all day. And I'm also enjoying the Lone Peak 5 right now. It's another shoe that it's got a lot of room. So especially as we get into the summer and your feet are going to swell a little bit, it's got plenty of room in there. It's nice and comfortable. I could be in that shoe all day. So that's another one that I would look at. Stevie76 says, yo, what's going on? And Raynor says, hi, all. What's going on, everybody? Shannon says, hi, Shannon. She says, hi, Co and Co. Happy to join for the next 20 minutes at a health spa and was late my last class. So I got bumped from the circuit, so I'm not going to be late for the next. Okay. Very cool, though. Glad to have you here. Awesome. Brendan Cam says, what in the world is up? Hope you're all doing well. Up with the capital U, capital P. Nice. Good to see you again, Brendan. And Iron and Beer says, woohoo, what's up, everyone? Good to see you. And Pete G says, hi, Kofuzi, love the YouTube vid today. Thanks. I had some fun with that one. I mean, I kind of just, It's a shame to me that the Insta360 One X doesn't have much better audio. Like the audio is decent. I just wish it were a lot better because I really just enjoy like running and talking to it because I don't have to worry as much about it. Like, what am I pointing it at? I could just hold it. And then like I kind of decide later what I want it to look at. And I just feel like it's a lot of fun. So Insta360, do better. Work on that. I feel like the X2 is actually a downgrade in terms of the audio performance. I like the X1 better. I could work with the X1 audio better. I think the X2 probably for the average person ends up being better, but for someone that can play around with it a little bit, I'm not an audio expert, but for someone that can play around with it a little bit, I think the X1 was easier to work with, easier to live with. And yeah, but I do enjoy that camera to play around with. Chi Weong says, greetings from Singapore. Well, welcome. Good to see you. How are you? All right. Amir Name says, hi. What's going on, Amir? How are you? All right. Danielle Emberly says, any thoughts on the ride 13 or 14? It's too late to return to the 13, but I need more big toe room in the 13. Here, 14 is wider for toes, maybe too much contour inside under my heel and arch. I liked the Ride 13 a lot. I haven't tried the Ride 14, and this might be the first year in a few years that I don't try it. I'm not sure. What I've kind of heard so far is that the 14 is pretty similar to the 13. I haven't heard. I don't know if I've heard that it's wider for the toes in the 14, but I mean, if you think that's the case, I would go and take them to the store and check them out. I mean, you could bring like your Ride 13 with you, so that way you can have kind of like the two shoes to compare it. If you really like the Ride 13. Yeah. That shoe got puffier, I feel like. At the 13, I don't know if it's still puffy for the 14. And I feel like sometimes when like the tongue gets puffier, it just makes it all feel a little bit tighter inside the shoe. And so it's one of the reasons why I don't like puffy shoe tongues. But yeah. I would go and check it out, because if the 13 has been working well for you, except for like the toe thing, and if the 14 is bigger, which I'm not sure if it is or not, I think it could be really quick to kind of figure it out one way or the other. Jean-Philippe My Bum says, what's the best shoe for a marathon if you got wide feet? I'm not sure. You know, Zephyret on Instagram, he writes for Jared who writes for Believe in the Run. He's been looking at he's a wide footer, and he's been looking at a lot of the marathon super shoes lately. I think he's doing a roundup or something. Like if you look at his Instagram, he's been running a lot in the Metaspeed Sky. I think he seems to really like that one. And others have really enjoyed the Hyperion Elite version 2. I also think that the I'm not saying that. I don't think it comes in a wide, but I also think the Fuel Cell TC is underrated and could work for people with a little bit of a wider foot. So those are ones that I would look at if you're looking for a carbon fiber plate. The Carbon X2 might also be a potential option. But other than that, like if you're looking for a non-carbon plated option, I feel like the Ultra Escalante could be a good choice. It's a surprisingly bouncy shoe. I really enjoyed that one. I'm looking forward to trying like the next one when it comes out. So I think that those would be some that I would look at if you're looking for a shoe for wide feet. Or there's lots of shoes that come in wide, you know, that I think, and I'm not always aware of which models those are, but you know, some of the other shoes that are not carbon plated that I typically like recommend, like the Boston 9 Hyperion Tempo. I don't know if those are like the Rincon. I don't know if those come in wides or not, but I would check to see if that's an option. Rainer said, had a dream. I completed a marathon. Victorious feeling at the finish line, but I don't know if that dream will be a reality anytime soon. Oh, that's a nice dream. That's awesome. At the finish line, was the tape checkered? Was it like a checkered flag finish line, or was it just regular? Do you guys hear that? Where's that music? Who's playing music? I don't know where that music's coming from. Oh, is that coming from my phone was playing music for some reason. I didn't do that. But it was playing music. That's weird. All right. All right. Luis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? Jackrabbit having a Memorial Day sale. Hope you have extra cash for new shoes. Ooh, that's a good catch. I'll have to check that out. KU Mamiya says, bit of a weird question, but as a young runner, is it normal to be able to see and feel your ribs? I don't have a scale, so it's hard to gauge weight and things like that. It is. It's normal. But I wouldn't worry so much about stuff like that. I would make sure that you're eating enough to fuel whatever activities you're doing, right? And so then, like, your body will look like what you use it for, you know, and I focus on that. Form should follow function. So I mean, I know it's hard to say that to a younger person or a younger runner, but I wouldn't strive for it, hope for it, or, you know, any of those things. Just let it be what it's going to be, you know. So the rest, like, do the training, do the fueling, do the recovering. The rest will take care of itself. All right. Yes, using music so we get demonetized. I hope not. I mean, it was faint, right? You couldn't tell what it was. I mean, now right now I hear Sesame Street in the background. I don't think anyone's in there watching it either, but yeah, Sesame Street's on, so that's what that is. James Aylward says, what's going on, James? What about the Ampla Fly carbon plated shoe for 120? I don't know what that is, I'm afraid. I've never heard of that. Amplify? I don't know. JC says, I'm hoping that New Balance RC Elite 2 is good for a wide-footed marathoner. Yeah, I'm excited for that one because I feel like it's just going to be like a basically more of a racing version of the TC because it looks like the same. I mean, basically it looks like a sole swap almost, like the upper of the RC and then the midsole and outsole of the TC. So I think that's a good combo for a marathon racer. So I'm excited for it. But I don't know if it'll be good for wide footers. We'll see. All right, David Damron with a super chat. Thanks so much, David. Says, I'm running the Tunnel Marathon in 2 weeks. Awesome. Thanks for the 2019 recap video. What's one thing you wish you'd know ahead of running that race? Yeah, I mean, I felt like I didn't have too many surprises. You know, because like I had seen other videos that were from around that time too, and I felt like that gave me kind of a good sense of what I was going to be. I think that I guess some things that are surprising are like how easy it was going to be to run a little bit too fast for the first half. So I mean that kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. I wished I had pulled back a little bit in the first half, so I had a little bit more to give at the end. And then there's one stretch towards the end. I think it's around like mile 20, 21 or something like that, where it gets real flat, very flat. It's like parking lots and you're like running through like, it just looks like a state park, like any other state park you would see. It doesn't feel like the rest of the course. Yeah. And so like there was that part was a little bit demoralizing because it wasn't as interesting anymore. And it kind of felt like you were done because we were seeing cars and parking lots and stuff. But then there was still a little bit more left, and then it went more downhill. So like, yeah, I mean, but you know, what marathon does the last 10K not really sting? So that's another thing I would just kind of keep in mind. But that's when I was really like, I wish I had more to get through this section a little bit faster. But good luck. Have fun at that tunnel marathon. It's a fun race. Lee O'Brien says, I'm racing a mile tonight, trying to go under 4:30. Any tips? I don't have many tips for going under 4:30. I think for me, getting under 5:30 would be a victory. But I would say for me and the way that I race the best, I do the best when I like sneak up on it. So like, you know, there are some people that do kind of like the U pacing strategy where you start out real hard, the middle you slow down a little bit, and then you kick hard at the end. My best racing looks more like a gradual increase. So I was just kind of like start out a little bit slower. Then the body gets kind of like not warmed up. Warmed up's not the right word, but like for me, like it's acclimated or more like easily cajolable into continuing to work hard. You know, I guess that's another way to put it. And that's how I like to run. So, but I mean, if you're going to get paced by someone as well, you know, if there's going to be like other, if it's a race versus a time trial, I would say, you know, stick with the pack and just don't worry about anything else. Just hang on and go, you know, focus on the shoulders in front of you and, you know, and just keep going. And then whatever the time is going to be. You know, I mean, and you'll know as you go along, I would assume, like, you know, if that pack is moving too slowly and you got to push ahead, you know, then you'll have a sense of that. Either someone's going to be yelling times out at you, or you'll be able to see it as you come around, or you'll have it on your watch. But I would say, like, use the pack to your advantage if you can. Frank says, Amplify went out of business. Visually actually looked like Alpha Flies. Well, I kind of assumed that they would probably, I didn't know if that Ampla was like a typo or something. I'm not familiar with the Amplify. Anthony says, did you ever run on the Ice Age Trail? If so, how was it? You know, I've never done that one, but what was I looking at the other day? Oh, I think I was looking at Runner's World. I was looking at a Runner's World article for like the easiest trails, like the easiest trail ultras. And there's something that's on the Ice Age Trail that's in the summer or something like that. And I think that was one that was on there. I think parts of it do get a little bit more difficult if I'm not mistaken. But no, I've never actually been up there. I'd like to do that though. There was someone that ran an FKT or made an FKT attempt over that in the last year, right? There was it's like 200 miles, the FKT for that, isn't it? It's something insane. Marcel Wagenlander says, what do you think about the Ultra Rivera? I think it's interesting. I think, I forget which Shannon knows about it. She was telling me about it. So you've had the Ultra Escalante, then you had the Torn and the Torn 4 and the Torn Plush. And the Rivera is more like the Plush, right? Or is the Torn now like the Plush and the Rivera is like the Torn? I don't remember which way it was. But for whatever reason, I thought I'm not that interested. It's like an Escalante, but with more stack height, right? Because it's Ego foam, not Quantic. So I thought, that made it a little bit less interesting to me because I was like, I've already experienced the Ego foam. I like the Quantic foam from the Superior, and I like the idea of the Torn being a thicker stack height Quantic foam shoe. But the Lone Peak this year is an all Ego foam shoe, and it's a thicker stack height. But it's giving me that Quantic-like feel that I like. Quantic just feels like it's super squishy. And so I really like it for comfort. But the Ego and the Lone Peak is like that. So I don't know if the Rivera is more like a road Lone Peak then. I'm not exactly sure where it fits. But for whatever reason, it's not really like getting me too excited. I'm excited about the next Escalante. But I don't know if I'll get to another Ultra this year. I'll probably look at the Superior, like 5. I'll probably look at the next Tauren, try and give that shoe another try. Or I guess I did the Plush last year, so maybe I'll do the regular Tauren this year. And then the Escalante. So that's already 3 more Ultras I'll be running in this year, I hope. So I don't know if I'll get to the Rivera, unfortunately. Koryamon says, I like to start slower and finish faster. Even psychologically speaking, is better for me and works well. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that one. With a race, inevitably, like the first, 400 meters are a little bit fast. But then I like to settle in after that and just make it feel easy. And the hardest part about that, or the most difficult part about that for me is, you see on your watch like the pace, and you're like, oh, this is not the pace that I was hoping for today. But you got to kind of like be like, it's going to be okay. I'll catch it and I'll surpass it later because I'll have a lot at the end, So that's kind of how I have to think about it. But that's the racing strategy that I like. All right. Shannon says, the Rivera places the normal Tauren for the road shoe. Okay. So maybe I do need to look at the Rivera then. So maybe I'll look at the Rivera and not the Tauren. So Rivera, Escalante, and Superior will be the ones that I look at this year then. So maybe I will be looking at that one. Lots to think about. CJ, what's going on, CJ? Says did 4.5 in the 4.5 miles in the Fresh Foam More version 3, and they are my favorite max cushion ever. See, I really feel like that shoe should have came out like a month ago. And for me, in my level of excitement for it anyway, because right now I'm just like, it's gonna be summertime. It's getting hot. I don't really want max cushion shoes because they just get so sweaty for me. And so like, but I remember like a month ago, that's when the Believe in the Run people got the Fresh Foam More 3. And so like they were talking about it all the time. And I'm like, oh, I want that shoe. Cause I was like, I don't love the 1080 version 11. I feel like the slight changes they made to it from the 10 make it not that max cushion feel anymore. But I'm like, but then there's the Fresh Foam More version 3. So now they've kind of like wrapped that into their Fresh Foam X universe. And so now you got a max cushion More 3, the 1080, which is like the cushion daily trainer. Then you got the Beacon, which is like a faster daily trainer. So you've got like a lineup. It makes sense. I mean, the 880 is in there somewhere as well. So it's like, I guess the 880 is more like a durable daily trainer, right? So if you want to put it that way. But like now I'm just like, I don't know if I'm really that interested in the Fresh Foam More version 3. But you're not the only one to tell me that you thought it was really great. So I don't know. I've been finding that like lately, whatever shoes Megan likes over at Believe in the Run are the ones that I tend to really like. And so she loved it. So I'm like, okay. Maybe I'm not excited about it, but I'm guessing it's a shoe that I'm going to like. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Sue Ann wants to know, hey, everybody, any thoughts on the upcoming Endorphin trail shoe? Yeah, a lot of, I don't know if like the embargo just lifted on that or what, but it seems like there's a lot of people talking about it today. And I got to tell you, the looks on that shoe, it could go deep in the ugly shoe bracket. I just feel like that. When I look at that, I'm just like, oh boy, what is going on with that shoe? It's like checker patterns, and I mean, I don't know. It looks weird to me, and I'm excited by the prospect of it. But it just looks so strange. I'm having a hard time getting past it. I mean, I know like, the looks don't matter when you're talking about a running shoe, but I actually don't really believe that anyway. And the looks are just weird on that Endorphin trail. So I don't know. Spenny Run says, hey man, great run at the marathon. Made it look way too easy. Thank you so much. He says, looking for a new daily trainer, a long run shoe. Currently have the Peg 37. Thinking about the Nova Blast 2. I wear the Puma Liberate for speed days. All right. Well, I'd say the Nova Blast 2 would be a really great choice. I'm loving that shoe. I would also say look at the Mach 4. And I would also say if you're liking the Liberate, consider there's a daily trainer version in the Puma lineup. I don't remember which one that is. But there's also the DV8 Nitro, which if you're looking at for your long run shoe, I do really like that one for long runs because it has that plate. And like when you're in like, the last couple of miles of the long run, the last few miles of a long run, it's a nice little kick that it gives you that I can certainly appreciate, even though it is a little bit on the heavier side. So those are some that I would look at. G No Days Off says, OMG, I disagree. You like the Endorphin trail? Well, I'm glad for that because I don't want the shoe to fail. I love the idea that people are giving, the trail shoes more racing attention as well as just attention. So I think that's super fun from selfish interest because I'm getting more into the trail running, but I just feel like that design is so off-putting for me, but I'm like, someone has to love that. And so I hope that, I would love it if I'm in the minority on that and everyone else loves the shoe. But again, it's one of those, I don't know if I'll get to it. I mean, we're almost to June, so for the year for 2021. And, I just don't know how many, I'm not saying like I'm done with reviewing running shoes, but like I'm only one person. I can only run so many miles in shoes. And like trail shoes, I don't know how many I'm going to get to this year. We'll see. I really want to make sure that like there's just the most probability of success for like running shoes if I'm going to be bringing them in. for testing, because I just don't want to have shoes that I'm like, ambivalent and like, I'll just hurry up and run 100 miles in the shoe. I don't want that. I mean, it might happen, but I don't want to I'm trying to avoid that. All right. Reynaldo Jr. says, or I don't know how to say that correctly, I'm sorry, says, congratulations on your work, Kofuzi. I always see your videos and comments about tennis. Hugs from Brazil. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. And thanks for stopping by the live stream today. It's great to hear from you. Very cool. Very cool. Kim says, as far as the ugly shoes go, can I make an exclusively Saucony Endorphin series too? I mean, it would just be, there would be the final, there's the 4 of them. All 4 of them would fit in there. I think the Trail is probably the weirdest looking one. I did try and pre-order the Endorphin Speed 2 on Roadrunner Sports yesterday. I ultimately decided not to. But one of the ones that they have, because it doesn't ship any sooner. It doesn't ship till like June something. But the one that they do have for pre-order is black. So I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe. Because then like, I don't know if they'll sell out of that black Endorphin Speed 2, and I'd rather have that one rather than a checkered one. And then they have like a weird, like similar to like the Infinity, that orange and black color. It's like a similar like color blocking scheme for the other color of the Endorphin Speed 2 that I've seen. And I don't like that one either. So I definitely want the black one. I feel like it's a real missed opportunity to make the midsole gray, but maybe they can't make. I mean, they could. I mean, they've been painting it. They painted the midsole blue on the Endorphin Speed 2. So my paint did chip off a little bit on mine, but I wish they would have made it gray. Well, okay. Run Chet Test says, hey, Kabu, do you eat anything before your early morning run? Generally, no. Usually it's just coffee. But if I'm going to have a workout or a long run, I usually try to have something. Even if it's like a granola bar or just a couple pieces of toast, maybe with some almond butter or, a nut butter, like peanut butter or something like that. So that's what I'll try to do. And I'll have that with my coffee, just to have something in the belly. If it's going to be a workout, I don't really want to be completely fasted. Today I had kind of a workout and then I forgot to eat something ahead of time. So I did just, drink some, like sports drink. I had some Honey Stinger sports drink before. So I did that. So that I've done I did that in a pinch, but I'd prefer to eat something and have something kind of like in the bloodstream that way. If I'm going to be doing a workout. But as far as like just most of my runs, I usually don't eat anything. Trevor Holtzman says, have you done a best looking shoe bracket? I have not. I've only done one bracket before. That was the other day where it was kind of just slapped together. Best looking shoe bracket. There we go. We should try that. It doesn't, I mean, yeah, it would just be like the best looking shoe. It wouldn't have to be like, which one actually works the best. Maybe what looks great. I mean, I think, we could put some on shoes in there. That would work then, Koryamone says, a friend of mine next week has a marathon with not great weather forecast. Did you run in wet conditions with the Adizero Adios Pro? How is the grip? The grip is fine. I don't think I ever ran in it when it was like really like super wet. I'm trying to think. Did I ever get it in the puddles? I ran with it in snow. I mean, if there's a lot of snow, it's not going to be great, but it does. I mean, it did as well as I would say the Endorphin Pro. And I felt like that also did well. The only time I ever recall having any issues with the Adios Pro was when, and this is a problem I have in all the shoes, I run by the lake and there's sand over there sometimes, and when the wind blows, it blows sand onto the path sometimes. If there's a very fine dusting of sand, things get really slippery. But all my shoes do that. Even my just daily trainers get a little bit slippery. You just notice it a lot more with the racing shoes. But as far as wetness goes, unless like the pavement underneath got slick somehow, if it's just rain, I wouldn't worry about it any more than any of the other racing shoes. Luis Dotto says, I had the same issue you had with the Zoom Fly 3. Thinking of replacing insole for it. Would you recommend a customized heel high and midfoot drop insoles for the Zoom Fly 3? Thanks. The insoles that I had that seemed to rescue that shoe for me were custom insoles. Like I went to like the running store and they like measured my feet, and then they had me stand. They like they warm up the insole and then you stand on them or something like that, and then it molds to your foot. So I don't know that there's a drop in it, but I think that it hugs your foot a little bit more in a fine-tuned way, in a customized way. So that's what I used in it, and that seemed to work pretty good. It definitely changed the dynamics of the shoe, but I didn't have that foot pain in it anymore when I did that. Albert L says, with so many shoes in your arsenal, what are the key factors you use to decide what to wear for a race? For a race, I think about like the distance and the surface. Those are the two main things. Because the distance is going to influence what characteristics do I want out of it. So if it's a 5K or a marathon, those are two different things, and I'll be looking for two different kinds of shoes. And then the surface will also change it too. I guess course is a better word than surface. So if I know there's going to be like a lot of turns, and it's a short, fast race, then I won't go with something tall. But if it's a, smooth, flat marathon, I'll look for something that's like an Alpha Fly that you could just cruise in. That's really the race kind of tells me what to do with it. And then, like for the marathon I ran last weekend, I knew I was going to be out there for a little bit longer than normal because I was going to just try and run it a little bit easier. And so I wanted something that was going to be putting a little bit more of a premium on comfort rather than speed and performance. So that's how I ended up picking the Fuel Cell TC. So that's, I usually kind of look for, what am I hoping for the shoe to give me? And then I try to figure out which shoe matches that up the most. Reynaldo Jr. says, do you ship your products to Brazil? I think for the stuff in Teespring, there are, I think most of the products that I picked, like some of them do or don't. It should show up for you, like which ones are available in your, like when you go to the site, if you go to the Teespring site. But I think I picked for a lot of the t-shirts. There are some materials that are only available in the US, some that are available in US, EU, and some that are available worldwide because Teespring has like partners that like print in multiple places throughout the world. So I think some of the shirts are available, but I'm afraid I don't really know for sure offhand. But if you click into like a specific product, it should be able to tell you if it ships to your region. All right, Tim McLaughlin says, I'm doing the Chicago Tri. Very cool. And looking forward to running on Lakeshore Drive. Awesome. Is that where they run? I actually don't know where the run is for the Chicago Triathlon. I guess I don't know where the biking really is. I think the biking goes along part of Lakeshore, along the Lakefront Trail, I think. But I know where the swimming happens. I guess I haven't really paid much attention to that race before. Interesting, but very cool. Very cool. I've been seeing a lot of people, well, not just people, but like groups of cyclists out there getting ready and training. I'm sure they're not only training for the Chicago Tri, but I think a lot of them probably are. Starting to see some swimmers out there too in the open water, so that's pretty cool. And then let's see. Will Gravel says, it's Wednesday, but for some reason it feels like Friday. I wish it were a Friday day. I saw a tweet today saying breaking news, everybody. It's not Friday. It's not even close to Friday. It's not even Thursday. And I was like, I feel that. I just feel like I feel the opposite, if you will. I feel like it's been a slow week. Jeffrey B wants to know, hey, do you know your max heart rate? I think my max heart rate, I mean, like I've seen readings of mine that go a little bit above 181, but as far as like something that's a little bit more like sustainable, I don't know what the definition of it is for like, how do you figure like what your max heart rate is? But I think it's around like 181 to 183, somewhere around there is where my max heart rate is. Like I don't, when I'm doing like 5K workouts or like workouts that are at 5K speed or faster, my heart rate doesn't really get above 181. And like deep into a 5K time trial, that's right around where it'll be. So that's where I think it is. All right. Brett Reed says, do you feel the arch support in the Asics Metaspeed Sky is almost non-existent? I've never felt a flatter shoe. I don't think I noticed that, but it's been a while since I've run in that shoe. I'll have to put them on again and get a feel for that. I don't remember feeling that, Brett. I'll keep a foot out for it, I guess. I was going to say an eye out for it, or an ear out for it, but I'll put a foot out for it. And Troy says, from the previous comment I made about the mail carrier, is there any shoe sole brand you recommend? A sole brand replacement do you like or recommend? Yes, I know there's a lot out there, but I'm just wondering if you have a preference. I don't really replace the soles. You mean the insoles, or I'm assuming you mean the insole. I've used the one at Roadrunner Sports for a different insole, but I don't really like insoles. I think part of that for me is that, I'm reviewing these shoes. And so I need to feel what the shoe is all about. And so when I put the insole in there, it changes what the shoe is like. And so I don't really use them very frequently. And I've tried putting those insoles in like a variety of shoes, and I never really love it. I always am kind of like, if I buy an insole, if I get in the custom of using an insole, then I have to change like what size of shoe I'm getting, I feel like. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm too crammed in there. And so it just seems to be like too much for me. So I don't have a ton of experience on them. I've only tried a couple of different brands. I've tried one, like the ones like meant for running that I got from Roadrunner Sports. I bought them myself. And then I got a pair. They sent them to me. They're like insoles that are made out of Boost material. You cut them to fit inside your shoe. I've tried that before too, but that you really need to have a lot of space in the shoe for that to be able to work. They're comfortable, but you have to like kind of have to buy a shoe half size too big, to plan for it, is what I felt. Will says, I ran in the Mach 4 yesterday. I thought there was a nice bounce, but I was surprised how slow the pace was. It seemed faster because of the bounce. Oh, really? I feel like that shoe I could really just cruise in. And I feel like the opposite on that one, Will. Yeah, I mean, I feel the bounce too. I just feel like I can go in that one for a long time. I've been really enjoying the Mach 4. Critical Thinker says, I have the Ride 14, but hesitant to take it out as it feels clunky on foot. It's a half size longer than my Ride ISO and just seems way overbuilt. Seems we're losing sleekness in running shoe designs. I would say overall, you're probably right. I think that things are getting more in like the thick stack height kind of idea. It's like finally catching on, I think. But yeah, I haven't tried the 14 though. But from the Ride ISO, I don't know. I didn't really like the Ride ISO though. That one seemed really hot to me, and I also felt like the outsole was really rigid, and I felt like it didn't there wasn't enough torsion for it. I mean, I know a lot of shoes have torsion resistance in it, so your foot's not twisting around as it hits. But I felt like that shoe was like real blocky, and so like I always felt like however I landed in it, it was always kind of like a little bit herky jerky for me. So like the Ride, I feel like the Ride series peaked at the 10. That's my personal theory on that one. With Everrun, crystal rubber, No, the crystal rubber was on the ISO. That wasn't it. In my Ride 10, I had a GTX version. It was just regular rubber on the outsole. That was a good shoe. I like that one too. That's one of my favorite winter shoes. It was nice and warm. All right, Asmar Ajihil says, it's been a while, man, since I last saw you in Chicago Marathon 2019 Expo. Awesome. Are you running this year? I got in the lottery for the second time. Not sure if I want to run this year. I will be there. I am in, and I'm very excited to run. So, I've been seeing a lot of people who have been kind of in a similar predicament. They've been asking around on Twitter, like, hey, should I run this event? And I think people should. But I think a lot of the people that are like, hesitant are people that are coming in from, say, Canada, for example. They're not sure if they're going to be able to travel or not, and what that whole situation is going to be like. And I can understand how that'd be put a big kind of like question mark over things. But I'm very excited to run this race, and I think there's a high likelihood that it will go now. I feel much more confident in that. But as far as like the international field goes, I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see. I think we'll learn a lot more because Chicago has Lollapalooza in the summer. We have a lot of big summer festivals. So we'll have kind of like some of those do draw from multiple regions. Some of them don't. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like how the city responds to those things to see where the event goes. But I'm really excited. I can't wait. Andrew Bostic says, hey, Kofuzi, I'm 13 and I need a coach because my coach doesn't train me for my race. I'm the only distance runner on the track team. I need a long-term cross-country coach. How would I find one, or should I get one? I think that's going to be tricky because of the fact that like you have a coach. It's not that you, because the thing is it's not like you don't have a coach. You have a coach. You're just not liking the coach. And so, I mean, I'll take it at face value that he's not training you for your race. Maybe he doesn't know how to. I can think of a couple of schools that I've experienced where like the high school track coach is like the wrestling coach who needs something to do in the spring, or something similar to that, right? Or maybe they're the sprint coach and maybe that's their background, or maybe they were a thrower or a jumper in high school and college, and that's like their background, but they're, at a smaller school and, they're put in charge of everything. So that's certainly possible. I think the first thing that you would do is, one, I would talk to your coach about it and let him know like kind of how you're feeling. You're feeling like I would try to say that, you're telling your coach that you don't think he's doing a good job. So I would do this as carefully as possible because ultimately he's still your coach. So if you piss off the coach, it's gonna make your own life very difficult for a long time. But I would first talk to the coach and be like, I really want to make sure that I'm working to my full potential, and I'm concerned about, and tell them your concerns. What are your concerns, or her your concerns? That say you're not doing enough long distance work or tempo or like threshold runs and too much sprint work. That's not, necessarily suitable for you. And maybe the coach will tell you like, this is my coaching strategy, and here's why I think it works for someone like you or someone of your age. I don't think that a 13-year-old runner needs to be doing like very, very high mileage weeks, because you're younger and like your bodies are just a little bit different. And I don't think that you need you already have like a lot of natural speed, and you can really build on that a lot for distances like 5Ks. So I mean, I would talk to the coach first. I think that's the most important thing to do, and make sure you have a good relationship. The coach, if the coach is really not experienced at training distance runners and is honest with themselves, will say, all right, well, let's work together and see what we can do about making sure that you're getting the kind of guidance you need. And maybe that coach has a colleague that they can reach out to for a more specific training plan. So I think that's probably the best place to start for it. Because here's like the worst case scenario. Let's say you find a really great coach online, someone that's willing to coach you remotely and knows a lot about training 13-year-olds. And that person says, hey, what your coach is telling you to do at practice is wrong. then what do you do? Your option then is to just quit the team, I think, and run unattached. If you'll even be allowed to compete in meets, which for the most part, I'm guessing you probably won't, unless you're in like an AAU type of situation. So I think that's where it starts to get really tricky and difficult. In the best case scenario, there's going to be tension if there's two coaches involved. So I think that the best thing to do is talk to your coach about your concerns, have a sit down, and say like, I'm concerned that I'm not reaching my potential and I'd like to do these other kinds of things. What do you think about that? Or is that something that we can start incorporating in there? Because I could easily see for a lot of coaches, they'd be like, well, I got one good distance runner and everyone else is mid distance or sprinters. So I'll have that person run the same thing as everyone else. That would just kind of keep everyone together and it's easy for me to watch everybody. But if you're like, I'm willing to write my own plans and do different workouts, maybe it'll require me to leave the school grounds to go do, an 8 miler on a Wednesday, but I can handle that myself, but it's something that I'd like to include in part of my training. I think that, that might be something that you can do, but I think that it's going to be real difficult to try to bring in another coach when you have a coach. That's just my thoughts on it, Andrew. Hopefully that makes sense. And it's probably not the answer you were looking for, though. All right. JC says, my high school American history teacher was a girls basketball coach. Girls won the state championship. I didn't learn anything about history. That's funny. I suppose it could go the other way around too, right? Yeah, makes sense. And Frank says there is, this is not a bad idea. There's a Matt Fitzgerald book on sale on Audible for just $5 today. I think it depends on which Matt Fitzgerald book it is in terms of coaching, but yeah. Let's see. There's a whole bunch of other ones that I was looking at. Let's do a couple more. And then I got to get going. Adam Fierce says, is there a transition / adaptation period to high stack shoes like with zero drop? Yeah, I don't think so. I suppose if you've been running zero drop, it'll feel really different to you and there might be some transition period needed. But I'll also say that I think for most people, the transition period to zero drop shoes, I think is overrated. I think that like to the extent that some people legitimately did need 300 to 500 miles of transition from a 10 millimeter to a 5 millimeter and then to like a 0 millimeter drop shoe was necessary. I don't think that was necessarily just about the drop of the shoe. I think that there was more like other musculoskeletal things going on. I don't think that's it. Like, I'm not convinced that that's necessarily a thing. Because like if I run like that'd be like saying like, you know what, I really would like to run inclines on the treadmill, but it's going to take me a summer before I can start hitting the plus button a lot on that incline on the treadmill. This just doesn't make sense. That's counterintuitive. I know it's an unpopular opinion and I'll probably get yelled at for it, but I just don't. I think that the transition period is overrated. I think if you're transitioning from high drop, high stack height to zero drop, a minimalist shoe, it's a completely different thing. But like, if you're going from like, like a Boston 9, which is like an 8 millimeter drop shoe with 14 millimeters of stack height or so in the forefoot, to an Ultra Escalante, which is like 20 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot at zero drop. I don't think that that's a big transition. It feels different, but I don't think you need 300 miles, 5 months or something like that to transition to it. That's, I know that's not what you're asking, but but I also think that the inverse is what the question you are asking. I don't think that's necessary. Maybe. All right. Sivoon says, and we'll end on this one for a day. Says, I have a non-runner question. I'm an aspiring legal videographer interested in branching into trial tech consulting. How exactly did you become a trial tech? Self-taught, or did someone teach you? I took a course in law school called litigation technology where I learned a lot of this stuff. And then I worked at a consulting firm out of law school for that. So that's kind of how I got into it. But yeah, I would say, there is a lot of like fake it till you make it that goes off in that. But I also think that the way that you get experience is by having really low rates in the beginning. You get some pretty crappy clients in the beginning because who wants to pay bottom dollar for the most important parts of their legal career? people that are not great attorneys. So, but that's the way that you get, people get, are willing to take a chance on you if you're a little bit cheaper. And then you at least get your foot in the door on some cases and you get some seat time, right? Because no one wants to be the client that says like, oh, how many times have you done this? And if you're like, this is my first time, but I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to do it, that's not going to inspire a lot of confidence. So I feel like, you got to cut your teeth and discount your rates for it. If you're already a legal videographer, the nice thing is like, oh, this looks like it's probably going to go to trial. What are your plans for technology in the courtroom? I feel like is a nice conversation you already have. You already have a rapport and a connection with that client. They trust you with legal work. The other way to branch the middle ground on that is you've got the trial work and you've got the video deposition work. In between there, they might need some help making video clips, whether they're putting together like a mediation package or they're just getting ready for trial and they need impeachment clips. See if they need help putting that stuff together. So reach out to the clients that already trust you. So you might be your first time doing trial work, but if they've already worked with you as a videographer for like 20 different depositions, you have the rapport and they trust your skill. So like that's another way to do it. Right? So self-taught basically is, a lot of there's no like certification courses for that stuff. It's just you got to be good and you need seat time. So get the seat time. All right. That didn't make sense probably to most of you out there, but hopefully that answered your question. All right. Yeah. You don't do pro bono trial tech. That's a mistake. That's a huge mistake. Because again, who wants pro bono trial tech services? People that are not very good at their jobs. Because otherwise, if they were good at their jobs, they could afford to pay you. So you don't want to do that. But yeah. All right. Like, how did this Kofuzi YouTube clip get into this exhibit? That'd be funny. All right. I'm going to get going. For tomorrow, we already talked about it. The Zinal video will be tomorrow, first run. It's an interesting shoe. And then we'll do happy hour tomorrow. So bring your recovery beverage of choice. I'll see you same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.